Summary main characters. Esther Nilsson, a 31-year-old poet, essayist, and thinker. Hugo Rask, a celebrated artist and public intellectual. Others play small roles, such as Hugo's assistants or admirers. Setup. Premise. Esther leads a calm, rational life and is in a stable relationship with her fiancé, Per. Then she's invited to give a lecture about Hugo Rask. Through preparing the lecture and finally meeting Hugo, she becomes deeply infatuated with him. She ends her relationship with Per, or at least its stability is disturbed, and begins to invest emotionally in Hugo. But the affection is heavily one-sided. Esther believes she and Hugo share more in common than they truly do. Conflict. Inner struggle. Esther's love is suffused with hope and imagination. She constructs an ideal relationship in her mind, reading into every gesture or silence from Hugo. She tries to interpret and reinterpret his behaviors to find meaning and affirmation. But Hugo does not reciprocate in the same way. His engagement is distant and ambiguous. He never fully commits to her vision of their relationship. He drifts and vacillates. Esther is left to confront the disparity between her expectations and his reality. Esther must grapple with questions. How much of love is projection? To what extent do we deceive ourselves in relationships? Can hope be a trap rather than a virtue? Themes 1. One-sided love and obsession. The novel explores how love can become a form of taking over someone's mind, occupying their spirit, even without their full consent or awareness. 2. Hope versus reality. Esther constantly clings to hope, reading signs, forgiving omissions, interpreting silence. But that hope may blind her to reality or to Hugo's true intentions. 3. Language, interpretation, and meaning. A strong motif is the tension between inner experience and external expression. The gap between what one feels and what one can say, or infer. Words are not a neutral mirror of reality. 4. Self-deception and identity. Esther's identity and sense of self come under threat as she becomes consumed by her longing for Hugo. She must question how much of her subjectivity is being ceded to an imagined lover. 5. Power, agency, and emotional autonomy. The title, Wilful Disregard to Sorofordwani, suggests aggressive takeover, not of property, but of a person's emotional world. Esther's desire to take possession of Hugo's feelings becomes a site of inner violence. Conclusion, resolution, without spoilers too much. The novel doesn't resolve neatly into a triumph of love. Rather, Esther gradually becomes aware of the discrepancy between her dream and the reality. The relationship she realizes cannot live solely in her imagination. The emotional journey is as much about self-recognition, accepting limits, and confronting painful truths as about love. In the end, the story is as much about loss of illusions, loss of control, and about reclaiming oneself in the gap between what we want and what is.